This exercise is for my IT class in hospitality at Georgian College. I'm going to take you through the exercise we did in class rather quickly, but you can then pause it and copy the steps as you go. So this on YouTube, you'll see you've got your controls, so you can pause, try something, replay it until you understand exactly what we're doing. So this exercise is a great sample. It's very much like the test is going to be, but not exactly. So if we do some things on the test that we didn't do on this exercise, we did do them in class. And if there are some things on this exercise that we didn't do, that's okay too. We are still going to have a good idea of you being able to use Excel for some simple spreadsheets. So this one is our gift shop exercise. Here's our inventory that we're looking at. We want to take this and put it into a table in an Excel spreadsheet. So it says enter the data into a chart. In this case, we're in chart or table. 3 columns: items, inventory, cost of items. Now the simplest way and the least buggy way is to actually just type this in. So we want to put it items, so it will be t-shirt, inventory, 15, $7.50. So let's go over to Excel and do that. So t-shirts, 15 at $7.50. There we have our first row. Now over here I've actually copied this down so that I don't have to spend this entire tutorial doing exactly that. So I'll go click into A1 and paste, and there's our entire inventory. When we come back to our exercise, it says sort into alphabetical order. Oh, first we need to put items, inventory, and cost of items in there. So let's come back over here, and what we want to then do is right click on the 1 and click insert, and that will put a new row above. And we type in items, inventory, and cost of items. There we go. Now we want to sort this alphabetically. So we don't want to sort items down to be at alphabetical level I, we just want to sort this portion. We can just select this, including all of the columns across, so that we're sorting the number and price with it, and go into data and sort by items, A to Z or A to Z. And there we go, we are all alphabetical. Now I want to make these the right width, so I'll just double click between the column numbers so that I can make these fit the width of the screen. Now, next it says total your columns and bold the total amount. So in this case, we wouldn't total the cost of items. We're just going to total right in here. We need to go to our Home tab and click the Auto Sum button and hit Enter. Now we can also write the word total over here, and then we're going to bold. There we go. A simple total of every item we have in inventory. Next step, change the cell reference. We actually want the cell name changed, in this case, to March, and place the cell here. So what is the name of this right now? Inventory. I'm going to change it to March. We look up here and we see in the name box that this is B1. So we come back over here and type B1. Format any dollar value into 2 decimal points with a $sign. Now we can very simply do this. We know these are our dollar amounts. I can select the entire column because this row is column or data headers. So we don't need to worry that this is going to end up with a $sign in front of it. Now the simple way to do this is just to use the drop down beside the currency amount in the Home tab and click on English Canada, and there we go. It's all formatted as $signs. So now we look like we have currency. Rename your sheet March 2008. Remember, we get down to the bottom here where the tab is, and we go, oops, March 2008 with no spaces, and now that sheet is ready to go. Now, another thing that we'll sometimes do is we'll actually change the color as well. So we can change this tab color, say, to orange to separate it, and we can say then go to the orange tab. Right now it's a very pale orange until we click off of it, but there we see the orange tab. Insert the following row: 74 packs of cigarettes at $6.45. I'm just going to go right up here where I know my alphabetical order is. Click Insert, type packs of cigarettes 74 at 6:45. And there we go. It also formatted this as currency, which is great. Next thing we want to do is put thin lines between your columns and rows. Again, we're going to select this cell range in order to do so. We can then just use any of these flyout cell formats to pull up our cell format panel, go into our border, change the color to something we like. I'm going to go with this orange color, use an outline and an inside, and click OK, and we'll come back, and there we have our thin lines. Next thing we want to do is make our titles at the top red, bold, 45 degrees. So let's do that. We'll just select this row. We're going to go red, bold, go to the alignment, angle it counterclockwise, and there it is. So step by step going through this. We want another column after the cost column. We're calling it selling price. So let's go back, click in here, selling price. And you'll see that because I selected the entire row when I applied that formatting, my selling price is already formatted correctly. Okay, next step. A25, we want to put the word markup, B25, 200%, and then we're going to use an absolute formula to mark up all of our items by 200%, which means we need to use those dollar signs. So over to A25, markup 200%. Make sure you include that percentage sign or you're going to have some errors. Now every formula begins with an equals, so it's equals cost of items times, which is an asterisk, and we want to use the variable amount. And then we want to come in and put those dollar signs up here in the formula bar so that we have this as an absolute value, and hit enter. And now when we drag this down, it'll keep that value of B25 and not try to go to B26 and so on. So there's our selling price. Now in A30, we're going to put the words inventory count, and beside it we're going to put the formula for the numbers in, which we actually already did in a previous column total, but we're going to call it inventory count in A30, and then in B30 put that amount. So we actually have it here, we're going to do it here, inventory count. Now the interesting trick here is when I click on the Home tab and go to my auto sum, it doesn't actually know what I want to add up, so I have to drag my range in order to get the correct total. So remember that you must make sure that you're getting the correct range when you're doing these formulas. Okay, next thing, center all the data in the cells. Now I'm not actually going to center my costing because that wouldn't make any sense, but I'm going to grab A and B, and again on the Home tab we have our alignment. We can center this in the cell like that. Remember to save often. Now the next thing we want is another column, which is our projected revenue, which is going to be the selling price times the number of items. So again, just another simple formula. So we'll come in and put projected revenue. And this, again, is going to be a formula. So we type equals, and it's going to be our selling price times the number of items, and hit enter. In this case, we don't want any absolute values because the selling price is different for each item and the number of items is different for each item. So we're just going to drag, no absolute formula. The absolute formula would actually break this one. Now, the next thing, total our projected revenue. So again, come to this column down here, and we can do a quick auto sum. We check that the cell range is correct, looks good, and there we go. Add a footer with the date, page number, and time. Now, sometimes you will put a heading in, and I'm just going to give an example of a heading instead of a header. Sometimes you'll want to just create this heading, and what I'd do is I would select, insert a row, select the cells, merge and center the content of it, and then I would type, this is my title. So if I want to put a title in, I can do that. If I want to put an actual page header in, though, I go to my Insert tab, and then I can go into my headers and footers. In this case, we're going to put in a footer. So we'll wait for this to load so that we can view the header and footer. And then we'll scroll down till we can see our footer. And you'll see we have 3 columns. I click into the first column, click my Design tab on header and footer, and I can put the current date. And then I can tab over to the next one or click into the next one, put the page number, tab or click, and put the current time. And as soon as I click out of those, you'll see that it's actually putting the accurate date and time in there. So there's my header and footer section. Now I'm going to go back to normal layout just so that this isn't distracting. Because I've now got headers and footers, I'll see some dotted lines. That is fine. Those dotted lines just show me my page breaks. Now, almost done here. Look at this. Insert a pie chart using the inventory and items. Again, it's important to select the correct things. We don't want to select our totals. I don't want to select that title I put in either. I'm going to go into the Insert and use my chart wizard. I'm going to insert a pie chart very simply like this. We'll let that gather the data and create the chart, and then we'll pull it aside. Now, it says move the chart so that you can view all the information and pull one piece out. So let's say we want to pull out the piece that shows the biggest profit. I can click on my chart. It selects all of the pieces of the pie. I click again and it selects this one piece. I can then pull that one piece out. So if I was wanting to talk about, say, the most profitable products, I can pull them out and that will highlight them. Other things I can do are maybe select a drop shadow on here. So I can right click on the outline of my chart, format the chart area. That will pop up this panel and put in a preset drop shadow. I could change my border color to a solid line that is again that orange that I like, and then click close. When I click off my chart area, I see that I've got those formats set up, so it just adds a little bit of flair to this. Now we're going to make a 3D formula. That's what these next pieces are all about. So we need to make a sheet for April and May 2008, and we're going to copy our data from March 2008, and we're going to paste that in. So we'll start at March, and we'll make an April 2008 and a March 2008. Come back to March, grab, I'm going to delete this row so that it doesn't confuse you. And then we're going to grab this data and copy. And you'll see it starts at A1, and I'm going to paste at A1. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, we're almost done here. The next thing we want to do is, in line B23 in the May sheet, we're going to type March and April inventory. So we'll go to May B23 and paste it. There we go. Now this is where we're going to put that 3D formula. It says we want to put March and April inventory into B24. So a 3D formula just means using data from other sheets, create a formula. So we're going to type equals because we know we're using a formula. And over here, I'm going to click in the formula bar on sum. Then we have this panel that comes up, which is very handy. C2 to C22 is not what we're after, so we delete that. We put our cursor in number 1 on this pop-up panel. We go to March, and we're going to grab that inventory count. And then we're going to go to the next number, which is number 2. We're going to click on the April tab, do the same thing, grab that inventory count, and click OK. There is our 3D formula. And that's it. Let's save this. include your name, so it'll be Excel, shercunningham.xlsx. Don't worry about this XLS because we're in 2010 now. And then you're going to actually, for the test, email that to me at ccunningham@georgianc.on.ca, and then you'll be done.